Hello everyone, it's Jan here from Jan's Cards and Creations, and this is the tutorial that follows on from the album walkthrough for this little, what I'm calling little Lacy folio. It's a folio, not an album, and the reason it's 6.5 by 6.5. It's got a soft spine on both sides, and I did do a walkthrough for this, so you know, I won't really kind of go into it too much in here. The one that I'm doing today is another version of this. It's exactly the same album, but it is in a different paper because I know some people are not that keen on sort of blacks and things like that. I think it looks very elegant, but maybe it's not to your taste, so I'll show you it in a different colourway. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, let me put this out of the way for the moment. I will put the cut list in the description underneath this video because it's easier than me kind of trying to photograph it, etc. So we'll start with the cover. Okay, now I always cut my pieces out and then I put them in little numbered bags so that I know I've got every piece that I need and it's not all mixed up, etc. And I suggest that you have some kind of system yourself as well to do this. Let me just check. Right, okay, so this is the start of the cover. And the pieces that you're going to need, let me just tip this out of here. The pieces that you're going to need are thin chipboard. So basically I didn't have any, so I've got 300-gram cardstock, and I've stuck two pieces together, and I think it's probably about the same thickness as a cereal box, something like that. So you're going to need two pieces that are 6.5 inches square or 16.5 centimeters square, and that's for the front and back covers. You're also going to need, let me move this out of the way for a moment, you're also going to need for the flap one piece that is 6.5 by, didn't write the measurement down on that, which is 6.5 by 3, and that is 16.3 by 4.4. As I say, the actual no, by 7.8. The actual sizes will be on the information below this video. So that's the size that you need, and that's going to go down the side of one of these pieces like this. Right, okay, you're going to need two pieces that are 6.5 by 2.5, which is 16.5 by 6.5, and you're going to need to score them in this way. You're going to put them into your scoreboard like this, so that the short edge is at the top, and you're going to score down 1/2 inch, and then you turn it round and you score down 1/2 inch again, and then from then on you score every 1/8 of an inch until you get to the other score line, so that you've got all of these score lines here and two pieces that are 1/2 inch like that. And then you need to, on the side that you are on the other, this is the side that you're going to bend, so on the other side you need to put two pieces of 1/2 inch tape down each side like that. Okay, so that's that. You're also going to need two pieces that are 8.5 by 8.5 of a thinner cardstock, because we're going to wrap these. So I've already done one here, and I'm going to do the other one here with you so that you can see how it's done. So that's 8.5 by 8.5, basically, so that you've got about an inch, you know, all over to wrap. Now, in order to get good fixing, I have put tape all the way around the edge, and at intervals across my piece of chipboard, and I've also put tape along the outside edges of this piece of card that I'm got, this piece of kind of paper that I'm going to use to wrap. Okay, let's move these out of the way for the moment. And you're going to need another piece of wrap paper, which is 6.5 by 8.5 by 5 inches, because we're going to wrap this flap here as well. Right, okay, so I've already done that, and as I say, I've already done one of the pieces, so it won't take us too long. I'm trying my best to get a balance between cutting down the time of the video and still keeping it relevant. Okay, so what we need to do is we're going to centre this piece of, centre our cover on our piece of wrapping paper or cardstock, whatever you're using, and we're just going to bend it over like this and crease it like this. On the corners here, we're just going to cut across the corners. So I haven't done this one. Let me get my scissors. So I've done 2 corners here, but where you need to cut is, you can see here where there is a where the 2 score lines, where your 2 fold lines, I haven't scored it yet, cross, and you want to cut about 1/8 of an inch, maybe just below that. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can bring it up any closer for you. I don't know if that helps, but anyway, that's where we're going to cut our corners. So we're going to go up here, cut that off, and the same on this one, up here, and cut that off. Right, that's our piece of cover paper that we're going to use. And like I say, I've taken off, you know, I've put tape all the way around the outsides, which I'm just going to remove now. So you take off all of your tape. If you want to, you can just use wet glue, which is fine, but because it's probably quicker here and a lot easier, I'm using tape on this one. Usually I'd use, in fact actually today I might use a combination of wet glue and tape. So let's take all these off. I haven't made a video for a while, so I'm a little bit kind of nervy. I get very anxious about doing these videos, but I hope they turn out okay and they give you some information and some ideas about what you can do. Right, so we're going to centre this up here, centred up into your fold lines, not your cut lines, like that. And then we're going to remove this tape here. It doesn't matter which side you start on, but I usually do 2 opposite sides, and if it's a rectangle then I tend to do the 2 longest sides first. Right, new bottle of glue today, so let's hope it doesn't clog up or anything. So now what I'm going to do is run a bead of glue right underneath here so that it sticks, and I'm going to do the same on this side here. You don't need much, you just need a sort of a bead of glue, that's fine. And then I'm going to fold up these side edges starting from the middle and apply a good bit of pressure there, and you work out. So you start from the middle and work out, that's the best way to do it. And then you kind of reinforce it with your bone folder, the side of your bone folder anyway. And we're going to do the same the other side. So that's there, centre to the outside. That tends to eliminate any sort of wrinkles and that you might get. Now we're going to do the same with the other two sides. We will have one piece that is completely wrapped to go along with our other pieces. If I can get this up, there we go. And again, we're going to run a bead of glue along here and along here, put the lid back on, and we're just going to push this corner down, push that corner down, and fold this over like this, going to the outside edge again. Okay, and use the side of your bone folder to reinforce that. And the same here, push that corner down, make sure that's down, and you go to the outside edge from the centre and then use your bone folder to reinforce. Right, okay, now I like to turn it over, and just to make sure that my edges are really square, I'll go along it with my bone folder like this. Okay, that's fine. So now we should have two pieces like this, one flap, which is the same, and two of these fold pieces like this, two of these soft spine pieces like this. So the first job we're going to do is take one of your pieces of either the front or the back cover, doesn't matter which. Let me just make sure I'm still in focus. Yep. Okay, and you are going to take one of your pieces that you scored at 8/8 of an inch, and you're going to, let's turn it over to the right side, sorry I forgot to mention that, and then you're going to stick this right along the edge of that 1/2 inch score line that you made. Okay, so first of all I'm going to just remove a little bit of the tape at the bottom, and then I'm going to line up the top, make sure it's absolutely straight, and to do that I want to put my little ruler there because I can't really see what I'm doing here, and let's remove this out of the way. So I'm going to get this lined up. Sorry, I've got a bit of shaky hands, and that's just like who I am, you know, so it takes me maybe a little while. Right, so I'm going to press that down there, and I'm going to remove this tape carefully, make sure that that's in the right place, and go over that with my bone folder so that it's got a really good crease. Right, okay, so that's one piece. Now we're going to attach the other part of the cover to this, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we're going to remove the tape, make sure it's right side is facing you, line this up with your crease, your yes, your first score line, press it down, and then I'm going to turn it over and remove my piece of tape, except that it didn't come off in one piece. Honestly, it's just the rule of things, isn't it? When you're trying to do a video and it's all supposed to be absolutely spot on perfect, you can guarantee that it's not going to be. Right, so that's one side. Let's get rid of these bits. I don't like all the junk piling up. And then we're going to do the same again. So we're going to turn it over, and we are going to, excuse me, we're going to do the same again with this next piece here. And push that to the inside, move my scissors, line it up at the top and at the bottom. Press that down and pull this piece of tape out. There we go. And press that down. And then I'm just going to move that out of the way, prop that up there. And we're going to, the last piece we're going to add on is the flap. Okay, so again, we're going to remove a piece of this, line the flap up, exactly, press it down, turn it over and remove the tape. There we go, and go over that with our bone folder. Right, now that is basically how the folio works. So it's got a soft spine here that folds in, it's got a front and back cover here and here, like this, and those score lines enable this to expand and to fold under, and actually it's a very comfortable little folio to hold. It's just the right size. Right, okay, so now we're going to work on our flips and flaps. So that's the start of that piece. So now we're going to want page 1. Let me just put this back in here. These are the papers, some of the papers that I'm using. Right, page 1. I suggest that you when you cut your pieces out, that you do label them page 1, page 2, etc., so that you can easily find what it is that we're doing. It's very hard to give them a name other than page 1, page 2, because of just the way that it all goes together. So what you're going to need for this, and as I say, don't forget the sizes and everything will be in the description below. You're going to need a piece that is 6 1/4 by 7 1/4 or 15.8 by 18.4, and you are going to need to score it along here. So you put the shortest edge into your you put the longest edge into your scoreboard, and you score down at 1/2 inch, and then ignoring that, which is my mistake, you're going to score at 1 1/2 inches. Okay. Yep. Right, and then now my advice throughout all of this is, because it's going to get quite a bit of wear and tear, I would use clear packing tape like this, and basically make sure that you line and completely burnish all of the insides of your score lines, and that will stop the cardstock from tearing. Because it's not coated with anything, if you're using craft cardstock like I am here, it's notorious for tearing. So but it does, it won't hurt if you use it on any, if you're going to use a black or a white base. But yeah, so every time we have scores that are going to be something that lift up and lift down continuously, I would line it with clear packing tape and really burnish it down. That's what I've done on here. Right, okay, so we have that piece there. We're also going to need, and I've cut this from 110-pound cardstock, and I've cut these at 60-pound cardstock, because you don't need them to be you know, as thick and heavy. It's quite hard to manipulate it if they're too thick and heavy. So yeah, okay, so now you're going to also need 2 pieces of the thinner cardstock, which measure 6.5 by 5.5, which is 16.5 by 14 centimetres. And you're going to put it in your scoreboard with the 6.5, you know, the longest side this way, and you're going to score this at 1/2 inch and at 3.5 inches. And you're going to, because it's going to need to fold back on itself like that, so you're going to have that kind of shape. So you fold the first piece under, and that's where you apply your score tape, and then you fold the other piece over, and that is where I've applied my clear packing tape to, you know, strengthen that score line. It doesn't need it on this piece here. So you're going to need 2 of these, okay, so they're both the same. You're also going to need a piece that is 5 inches square or 12.7 centimetres square, and this is your closure tag for this. So there's no folds, no scores, but what you will need to do is cover this with your design series paper and, you know, cover the front and back. So that's that. Let's put that aside for a moment. Now you're also going to need 2 pieces that are, so you're going to cut 1 square that is 3 inches by 3 inches, which is 7.6 by 7.6, and you're going to cut it diagonally so that you have 2 pieces like this. We're going to make these into the pockets. Okay, so let's put those aside for the moment. Now for this, you're also going to need your patterned paper that you're going to cover these with. Okay, let me show you what this looks like. In the album, this is your closure tag. That's going to be like that. And this is the front side of these, and this is the corner pockets that this tag fits into to keep that closed. And you're able to open them out like that. We don't need these pieces yet, we can do that later, but we do need these 2 pieces. The other thing is, on this album here, I backed everything with white cardstock and then my pattern paper, but I haven't done that on this new album because it's my pattern paper is bigger for a start, and also because it just doesn't need it. But you need to put these pieces down first before you can put your corner pockets down, because these have to stick over the top. So there's only 1 or 2 examples of that in this album. Most of it you can decorate at the end. Right, okay, so let's get on with this. Move that out of the way. So my decorative pieces are these 2 pieces. The rest of it we can stick on at the end. So, okay, the first thing we need to do, let's move this out of the way and we can work on this piece first. So you're going to have this with your score lines at the top like this, and you're going to, you know, crease along the score lines and reinforce that with your bone folder. Like I say, ignore this line here on mine, it doesn't matter too much, but I made a mistake. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to add these to this. So as you can see, I've mitered my corners. This is going to go like this. Hold on, let me reinforce this with the bone folder. And as it lies in the album, these 2 opening pieces are going to be in the centre front. Okay, so they're going to be like that. There and Hold on, make sure they are in the centre front. No, they're not. Yes, they are, yeah, the centre front. So that's going to be there. I'm trying to get my head around it now. Which is that outside one there. Let me just put a weight on that for a moment. You know what, I think I folded it the wrong way. Yeah, I did. Sorry about this, I'm just trying to work it out. That needs to open at the front, so it needs to go that way. Yep. Right, yeah. It doesn't really matter what side you put your score tape. I can't remember it myself now, goodness me. Let me just look on my own one where I actually stuck them. I'm sure I stuck them on the outside. Oh no, I didn't, I stuck them in the middle. Right, that makes sense, sorry about that. How crazy. Right, okay, so yeah, right, I'm with it. You wouldn't have thought so, would you? Right, yes, okay, so we end up with that shape. Straight away it goes wrong. And you're going to line these up, leaving a little edge all the way around the outside. And basically we're going to stick one here with the opening flap in the middle and the stick down flap in the middle. So that's going to go there. Let's just pop that there so as I can show you. And this one is going to be the same. So the opening flap and the stick down flap are in the middle, and you're just going to line those up and pop those down. And if possible, you want to leave a little tiny gap in the middle so that when you open and close them, they don't keep knocking on each other. Okay? Right, sorry about that little glitch earlier. It's been a few weeks since I actually made the album and I can't remember how to do it myself. It's crazy. Right, okay, so you're going to remove your piece of score tape here. Score tape backing, she says, and it won't come off. Right, there we go. And so you have your flap opening in the centre and your stick down flap folded under, okay, and you're going to line this up and leave a little gap all the way round. You can just do this by eye. I mean, you can measure it if you want to. And usually I'm a person who measures everything. So press this down, make sure it's well scored. Make sure these outside edges are like that, although this is going to be held flat by the tag that goes in it. Okay, and we're going to do exactly the same thing with the other piece. See if you can possibly leave a little gap in the middle. That's ideal. I mean, you can always trim it down a little bit. If you haven't got a little gap in the middle, just trim it down a little bit. Remove that piece of tape. Make sure that you've got it this way round so that the flap opens there. Line it up as best you can with the outside edge, like that. There we go. And really reinforce that. You don't need to have a backing paper around the outside here unless you particularly want to. It's up to you, but to me it just adds bulk. Right, so we have that. Now we're going to add these pieces, and I'll give you the measurements for these as well, but basically everything that I've cut with my papers, I've had it a 1/4 inch smaller. So for example, if this is 6 by 5.5, I mean it was 6.5, but half of it's folded under. So if this is 5.5 by 3, then I would make this 5 1/4 by 2 3/4. Okay, so I'm just going to stick this down. Doesn't need too much glue, it's not holding any weight or anything, just needs a little bit around the edges and a little scribble in the middle. Okay, and I'm just going to line this up best I can. There we go, that's one. Goodness, it's really muggy here today. It's done nothing but rain for over 6 weeks here now at the moment, and this is supposedly the middle of summer here, and it's just been utterly horrendous, the weather that we've had. And I know it's been horrendous in other parts of the world because you've had so much heat and sun and no rain at all, so the balance is definitely wrong this year. Right, I'm just going to put my paperweight on there for a moment to hold that down, and I'm going to grab my 2 corners, and because they're the same length both ways, it doesn't matter which way I stick them on, so I'm just going to put them on there like that. So I'm just going to, they're going to fit this way round like this, so I'm just going to put a thin bead of glue at one side and along the bottom like that, and stick that right in the corner of the actual page. Not necessarily right in the corner of this, I'm going to stick it in the corner of the page. And I'm going to do the same with the other one. So let's make sure that goes that way round. So that's there and along there. But yeah, so I was saying it's very muggy at the moment, which is why I've got my window open, because it's very warm and you just can't breathe. There's no air movement. It's crazy. So I'm sorry about any traffic and all that you can hear. Right, so let's just hold that down, give that a good press, good burnish, wipe off any bits of glue. And as you can see, once it's covered, this is going to be the tag that sits in there, and we're going to put a little loop on the top, and that's what holds that flat. Okay, so we'll take this out for the moment. I don't know, maybe it'll be easier to do it with it in. Let's just press that down a bit better. Give that a bit more of a burnish. I like this Cosmic Shimmer Glue, this one. Apart from the fact that it doesn't dry, I mean it dries clear, but it dries shiny, if you know what I mean. But for the fact that it's, you know, half the price of the other really popular brand, excuse me while I have a drink. And for me, I find this sticks anything to anything. I just think it's amazing. Right. Okay, so let's bring our album back. And we're going to have the, let's move that out of the way, and that, clear the space. So we've got the flip, the small cover piece here towards the right hand side, and this we're going to attach here. Okay, so we are going to apply tape or glue, whatever you want. Now I'm not mitering the corners on mine. I just think that the overall look is better on some pieces when you don't miter the edges, and this is one of them to me. So I'm going to apply my 1/2 inch score tape, get my trusty little stamping block to tear it with. Burnish that down. So as you can see at the moment, these are the 2 pages that open out, she says, having stuck it down. There we go. These are the 2 pages that open out. This is the first score line, and I've applied the tape up to this score line here, the one that's 1/2 inch, and that's going to fold under. Okay, and we are going to remove the score tape backing, and I actually might add a little bit of glue as well, just because it gives me a bit of wiggle room, and it's sort of double the, you know, double the strength really. You've got the tape to hold it immediately, and the glue will bond paper with paper, card with card, I mean. Right, now we're going to line this up here, and we're going to cover these 2 pieces here and here, but not right up to that first score line that you did. So you've just got to centre it. Okay, so I'm going to be centering it like this, like this. So there's about an 1/8 inch gap either side, and this score line that you've made in your on here needs to come right to the top edge. Oops, mine's moved. Good job I put the glue on it. Come on, play the game. Don't be naughty today. There, like that. Okay? So it needs to go like that, right up to that top edge. And then when you push this up, this flap will stand up. That's because we've got so much going to go on inside. So what I'm going to do now is put a couple of little clips on there to hold it until it dries, while we get on with the next bit. So push that down flat, put some clips on to hold it. There, there, and there. That's the first of your pages. You can pop this in just to keep it flat if you want to. Okay, so that's that. Right, let's keep this here a moment. Now this is page 2. Let me just shut that up on my album. And page 2 for us is going to be a waterfall, and it's going on the inside of this. Okay, it's going on the inside of this flap. So, page 2. You see how easy it is when you've got them all kind of labelled and put out of the way and everything. Now for this, let's move these out of the way because I don't need those. Like I say, I'll talk about the linings and everything in a little while. Oh, actually you do need 2 pieces of this, so I'll just keep that there for a moment. Right, okay, so the pieces we need, this is a belly band waterfall, and we're going to have like a little photo folio thing inside it. So the first thing you're going to need is a piece that you cut to 6 3/4 by 4 inches, and that is 17.1 by 10.1, and having it the long side in your scoreboard, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, turn it round and 1/2 inch, okay, and fold those 2 under, apply tape and then fold those 2 under, like that. Come out of the way. Right, you're also going to need 4 pieces here that are 3 3/4 by 4 inches, which is 9.5 by 10.1, and you're going to put them in your scoreboard this way round, which is the 3 3/4 inches is going to go across the top, and you're going to score down that 1/2 inch. You're going to do that for all 4 of them. Okay, that's the waterfall. And then you're also going to need a piece, again in a thinner cardstock. All of these are thinner cardstock because they're not, you know, they're not, I mean, this one here is a little bit thicker. This is the slightly thicker one, and these are the thinner, because you just, you know, that when they're covered in paper and a photo, you don't need it. So this is going to be the closure strap, the waterfall strap, and this needs to be 4.5 by 1 1/4, which is 4.5 by 1 1/4, which is 11.5 by 3.2, and then you're going to score at 1/2 inch. You're going to have it in your scoreboard lengthways, you know, the biggest way at the top, and score it down 1/2 inch, and that's going to tuck under, and you want a piece of score tape on there. Right, okay, so while that's drying, let's make our waterfall. So taking your piece of card that you have scored and you've got your tape on, fold those 2 ends under like that, and I'm just going to rub off my writing here because I'm sure it's going to show. There we go. And as I say, this is page 2, okay. Right, so taking any of your pieces from your waterfall, we're going to put them here, and as you can see, they're exactly the same size as the belly band, so that makes it really easy to line up. And we're going to line our first one up with the very top so that it's like that, okay, and then we're going to work on from there. Right, so let's remove the score tape here. The thing about waterfalls is about making sure they line up at the sides, because sometimes folds can be out. Now I'm going to do mine sideways just because it's easier for me. But before I really press this down, I'm going to line it up the best I can, but make sure that it actually lines up at the 2 sides, which mine isn't at the moment. So let's start that again. Once you get the first one on, I think you tend to find that all the others will fit perfectly. So it's worth taking a few moments just to work on this. Right, my 2 sides are now flush, so I can press that down and open that up, and then from then on it should be pretty easy. So next one, hold that under, press it, push it up as far as you can to there, but make sure that the sides are even, because sometimes just a millimetre out can make a big difference. That's number 2. Number 3. It's worth folding these back every now and again just to make absolutely sure. Yep. And now this last one. Again. Making sure it's level along the bottom and the top. There we go. That's that. And now this piece here, we're going to take off the tape here, bend that under and keep that out of the way, and we're going to just centre this. Just do it by eye, says the Queen of Measuring. And put it right down at the bottom, making sure that it's, you know, it's right down there like that. And this will be our closure strap, so that when this closes up like that, we're going to have it like that. Right, so that's the belly band complete. So let's bring back our album. Take off these clips because they should be dry by now. Pop them there. Now this is going to go facing us under here. Whoops, like this, here to here, like that, and be centered up. But we need to pop the decorative paper strips in here and here first, just because they're going to tuck under. You know, you don't need to cover this entire piece because that will be a waste in the middle. So you're going to need 2 pieces. Let's just take those out. Yeah, that's the right 2 pieces, perfect. And these pieces measure, I didn't measure them, so these 2 pieces measure 5.5 by 1.5, which is 14 by 3.8 centimetres. Okay, and we are just going to stick those down onto there. So where's my glue? So that's one piece. Line it up, leave a little gap all the way around the outside, a little decorative gap. And that comes down to there. And the same with the other side. You can apply these after you've put the belly band in, but it's just such a fiddle, you might as well do it now. So do it the same there, leaving a little gap around the top and the side. Great, and now we can add our belly band. So we'll take off the top strip. I'm going to add a little bit of glue just so I've got some wiggle room. And for ease, I'm going to turn mine sideways. Okay, so you've got your belly band here with the strap. You've got this piece turned, you've got your belly band this side up with the strap. You've got this piece turned under, and we're going to center that and stick it down. Now, I think that that's probably about the center. Make sure it goes right to the edge, right to the top edge that you have here. Okay, and when you've got that stuck down, you just give it a burnish, wipe off any little bits of glue you've got, and then the second piece should just miss this fold line, which it does. Okay, make sure whenever you're sticking something down that it doesn't interfere with this fold line. So it can just go back like, you know, a 1/16 of an inch, a tiny little bit, so long as it's not actually on the fold line. Right, let's remove this backing paper. Easier said than done when you've got the old shaky hands. So thanks guys for bearing with me while I wobble all over the place. A little bit of glue, and then we're going to hold that under and we're going to bring that down and stick it down, and then reinforce it with our bone folder. Right, here and here. Now we have, as I say, we have a little booklet that goes inside here that slips in behind this belly band here. Let's just make sure that that is a gap. Yep, it is. Perfect. Reset. Right, okay, so that's that piece done. Can't really hold that down, unfortunately, but never mind. Right, so this is your page 2 stuff. That's page 1. This is page 2. These are just all the bits that I've cut as my topping bits, you know, my covers and things. Right, so we're on to page 3 now, and page 3 is the piece that flips up this way. So this one here has a double pocket. Oops, sorry for the noise there. Put the lid on my glue before it all dries up. Everything's still in frame? Yeah, looks like it. Right, so let's tip out page 3. Now this is the flaps and flops. So when this comes down, in order to close the album up, you've got it like that, and you've also got a piece that goes underneath like that with all the other pieces that then fit in and tuck in and everything. Most of the mechanics of this are in this centre, you know, under this centre panel here. So this is the bit, get that out of the way. This is the bit that goes here, that corresponds with this, but it's got a smaller gusset, okay? And this has a double pocket like this and like this, so it's pretty simple to do. So let's work on this bit first. Let's move this out of the way. Pop this out of the way for the moment while we work on this. So the first thing you're going to need is a piece of cardstock. Again, I've used the quite fairly lightweight one, and this measures 7 inches by 6 1/4, which is 17.7 by 15.8. And when you put it in your scoreboard, you put the longer edge at the top, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 1 1/4 inches. And again, I've added the clear packing tape there and there just to reinforce it. So on this side, you're going to fold this under, bone folder, bone folder, bone folder. I do like to spread myself out. It's a good job it's not on camera. So you're going to fold under that 1 1/4 and score that, and you're going to fold under that 1/2 inch, and you're really going to reinforce that. So they both go under, but before they go under, you add your piece of tape here. Right, okay. So this is going to go this way up. So we're going to add the pockets here. So the first pocket, the large pocket here, is 7 1/4 by 5 inches, which is 18.4 by 12.7, and you're going to score on one of the long sides and 2 of the short sides at 1/2 inch, and these we are going to mitre. So we'll mitre these on all the corners. So cut the tops at the tops and then cut these bottoms here as well. And you can cut this right up to the piece where it crosses over. Okay, that gives a neater edge. Then put your tape around them, fold them under. The insides of these don't need reinforcing, it's only where the page opens. And the way I like to do this is to remove the bottom piece first, she says. Oops. There we go. And putting this piece with the folds facing you, fold it right under so you have no crease lines, you know, no fold lines facing you. And I'm going to stick this down. Now for me, I find it easier to turn it sideways, but I'm going to stick this bottom piece down. I haven't stuck those down yet. I'm going to hold that down, give it a little bend, and I'm going to stick that down right totally level with the bottom edge. Totally level. She says. Oh, it's such a nuisance when you can't do things so well. There, across to there. Thank you so much, guys, for bearing with me. It's a real nuisance. You can't make your hands do what you want them to do. Right, there you go. So that is completely level along the bottom edge, like that. Reinforce that. And now it's a lot easier to tuck your sides in, rather than trying to hold all 3 pieces down at once. So that's 1, 2, let's get rid of these bits, tuck these under, and that one under, and then just fold that pocket down, like that. Okay, and we're going to repeat the same thing again with this one. So again, I've mitered the corners, as you can see. I'm going to remove the bottom piece. Oh, hold on, I better reinforce that fold first, make sure it actually goes down nice and flat. There we go. Right, remove that bottom tape. And again, putting it sideways for ease for me, I'm just going to line that up completely with the bottom, making sure it matches up. Reinforce that and remove these. 1 and 2. And we can just tuck these under and press that down, tuck that one under and press that down. Easy peasy, she says. Right, okay, so now we have this. So don't forget that the bottom of the pockets needs to be where this flap is. Okay, not the other way up. Right, because we folded that piece under before we attached the pockets. So now it just remains for us to attach this to our folio. bring this over. Make sure it's in focus. It is, yeah. And I'm going to, it's always good to do a bit of a dry run as well first, I find, actually. So if I just lay that on there just to see where that's going to come to. I mean, basically it's the same size as the top one. So you can use the sides of the top one to line this up, yeah? Right. Let's get this backing off here. I'm going to put a little squidge of glue on it just so that I can move it around if I need to, and because it creates a stronger bond, I find. Apparently the wet glue actually bonds the two papers together when you're sticking something to something else. Right, so I'm going to line that right up to the bottom, like that, making sure it's level with the sides here, which it isn't. So good job I added the wet glue. Come on, be nice. Play the game nicely. No being naughty. There we go. Okie doke. Stick that down, and then when you come to push that down, that stands up as well, and that's the piece that this covers, like that. Okay, so that will be the inside. Now everything else is going on the inside here. So, okay, now the next piece that we want is page 4. Page 4. And that is the centre. And that's what's going on the centre of the back here. Okay, so this is page 4. So let's move this out of the way for the moment. And let's find our page 4. Now page 4 is a large expanding pocket. Very, very simple to do. That's all my papers, which I don't need at the moment. So the things that you're going to need for this are, your first piece is the bottom of the pocket. Yep, and that measures 4.5 by 6 inches, which is 11.4 by 15.2, and you're going to put the short end in your scoreboard and score at 1/2 inch. Okay, so put that aside for the moment. Get rid of those. Now the lid of it, you're going to need the size is 6 by 3.5. Yeah, and that is 15.2 by 8.5. And you're going to put the short edge in your scoreboard, and you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 3/4 inch. Okay, so that it's got like a little gusset when you come to fold it, like that. Because that's got a lot of movement, I'm also going to tape. I've also taped mine, right? So it stops it tearing. This you can shape if you want to, because this is the lid of the pocket, but I wanted to make mine a kind of a clean and simple album, so I've kept it square, but as you'll see, you can do anything you want with it. Now we're also going to need 2 pieces, oops, get rid of that, 2 pieces that are cut to 3 3/4 by 3, which is 9.5 by 7.5, and you need this really cut from the thinnest cardstock that you've got, almost like a paper, probably the same as what you wrapped the outside of the album in, that sort of thickness. And then you're going to put it in with the short edge across the top, the long edge down the side, and you're going to score at every 1/2 inch, because we're going to concertina fold this like this. So basically it's a case of folding it this way, giving it a good score, fold it back on itself, and again give it a good burnish there and there, and so forth, just backwards and forwards all the way, burnishing it each time. Back this way, making sure that you keep it nice and straight. And back that way again. So now you should have two pieces that look like this. Hold on, two pieces that look like this. That's the shape on the top of them, and that's how they look. Okay, that one, and open up that one. Right, now these are the pieces that are going to make this pocket expandable. So the first thing that you need to do is take the piece that has got only one score on the bottom, like this, one with a 1/2 inch, because this is the bottom of your pocket. I'm going to turn it over and we are going to attach these to here. Now you'll see that these are shorter than the side of the pocket. There should be a gap here of about 1/4 inch, and that's to enable the whole thing to open up and it won't catch when it's, you know, when it's being used. So I'm going to use the this side. So the where you have two, you have a flat piece and you have two peaks like this. That's the piece that I'm going to stick down. So that basically that gives you 2 or 3 sections in your pocket. Okay, so I'm just going to use some wet glue for this. I'm going to glue down here. Don't know why I didn't put tape on it. Normally I would put tape on this, but obviously there was some reason. Not that it matters at all. And I'm going to stick this with the right to the outside edge here. Hope you can see what I'm doing. I'll show you in a moment. So I'm going to stick it right to the top and right to the outside edge, like that. Like that. Okay, and now I have those two peaks that are standing up there, and that just gives me sections that I can put ephemeral cards or whatever I want to put in there. So I'm going to do the same with the other side. So one side, as you can see, has got one peak and the other side has got 2, and I've just noticed that the writing will show, so I'm just going to rub this off. Right, where's my 2 peaks? There they are, inside, like that. And I'm going to apply my glue down this edge and stick it to there. I don't know how we're doing for time, because unfortunately I film on my phone, and obviously my phone's got the time on it as well. So I just have to guess it each time. Right, okay, so we're going to stick this outside edge onto here from the top and down the sides, like this. Wipe away any spare glue. And that's going to be like that. Just reinforce that a bit. Perfect. Okie dokie. Like that and like that. And now we will stick the under edge of the lid to the edge of this. Okay, so you're going to turn it this way round. You're going to have your lid with the 2 score lines here, yeah, and we're going to apply a little bit of glue to these top 2 edges, and we're going to put this under here up to that first fold line, and then we're going to stick it down like that. Okay, so on the other side you have the second fold line and the rest of the lid, yeah. So the easiest thing to do is to slot it in. So first of all, fold it down, fold the lid down to your first score line where you've got your tape. Ignore the other score line for the moment. Take your pocket, hold this down and push it right up to the lid. And make sure that the sides all line up and everything, and it looks neat. Then, holding it in place, apply some glue onto here, like this. Fold your lid back down and press it tightly. I'm going to put a couple of clips on it to hold it. Just make sure it's stuck there. Put a couple of clips on it to hold it while it dries. This glue, I must admit though, dries very quickly. And it's not too runny, it's a bit sort of thicker as well, so that you can control it better. I just found that the art glitter glue for me was a bit runny. Right, while that's drying, let's get rid of some of this rubbish. Excuse me folks while I do this. Right, okay, so here we go. This is now the centre expanding pocket and the lid that's drying. So we're going to stick this, let's bring our album back. Let's open these pages out of the way, and this is going to be attached here, right at the bottom. So where this piece is here, that's going to be attached right down to just above that fold line, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, and also making sure that it's level. And the easiest way to do that is to line it up with that sheet there. Okay, so while we're waiting for that to dry, we can actually take this off. Take this bit of cardstock off here, the backing off of the tape here, and holding these pieces in out of the way like that, we can. So here you have a piece that folds up and you've got 2 score lines. Ignore this one, it's this one. So you line this up nice and straight. You'll see that it's a little bit narrower than that cover because we want the cover to cover it basically. And you need to stick this down, leaving a tiny edge here and here, like I say, about 1/16 probably. So you stick that down there, and this should be dry now, so we can take this piece of tape off of here. Sorry, let's move this back. Take this piece of tape off of here. Like that. Add some glue to the side pieces, the side concertina pieces, these bits. A nice drop of glue. There we go. And some on here. the lid back on. And when we fold this up, we'll just tuck these pieces in, and that sticks down nicely there. Okay, so we can open our lid, we can reinforce all of this, get rid of any little bits of sticky, reinforce all of this and reinforce this as well. And that gives you your nice, your nice expandable pocket, and that's going to hold a lot of stuff with the closure, the lid closure. Okay, now this isn't going to need something to hold it closed because it's held closed by all of this stuff when this closes up, so we don't need to worry about that. So that is page 4 done. And now on to page 5. Which is this piece. This is kind of where I really need to pay attention to this. Oh, sorry, yeah, there's another thing actually. Right, I have also cut reinforcement pieces in 300 pound cardstock, that's the thickest stuff, to go in here, in these pieces of the, in these pieces here. Yeah, because I just, you know, I really want these to hold up to it. So there's a piece for there, and there's also a piece for the bottom here. This is the piece for the top, and I've just noticed that it's a little bit wide. I need to trim a tiny piece off of this. So this is, I've made this 6, sorry, let's use this other ruler. I've made this 6 1/8 by 7/8, and along this 7/8 here, I think I need to trim off the tiniest bit. So I'm just going to do that by hand with scissors because it's a lot easier than trying to do it on a machine. And you just need to take off an absolute hair, really. It's just so that it doesn't catch on those folds. So just try and get this the best that you can. It's not, it's just to reinforce that. So look, I've just taken off that amount, and it's just to reinforce those. So I'm going to use my glue, and I'm going to, while I've got this here, I'm going to stick this down so it reminds me. Glue. When we come to do the other end, we'll do another one, because this one down here is narrower than this one up here. Right, and we just get this to line up. Yeah, just cutting that tiny piece off made all the difference. There we go. Press that down and let that dry. There we go. Get rid of any of this glue here. Right, that's that. So now we are going to be, so that, you know, that'll give that strength, this bit here. So now we're going to be working on the inside of this page, which was the pockets, and now we're working on the inside of this, which is